2 years ago on Easter, my mom died. I miss my mom. She was a great influence in our family, full of life and energy. And because we missed her, and because I inherited some things from her, I thought, why don't I create a space of remembrance to bring mom present to our everydays, our holidays and our everydays. And one of the things I had from my mom was a picture of her as she was going to college. And I love this picture of my mom. I love so many keepsakes that mom left behind. And we want to remember mom, and we want her to be a part of our lives. So I thought, why don't I create a shadow box, and I'll put it up on the wall in my office, and I'll remember my mom. And I built the box, and I started to put things in it that reminded me of mom. And I thought, but mom came from a family. And so in addition to mom, why don't I capture her family? So I have mom with some of her diplomas, and also some of the pins from the activities that were important to her when she went to the University of Utah. And the house where she grew up, a house that was so important to her and to her family. But then I also captured some of her family. Her family was a family of 6 girls and mom and dad. And she loved her sisters and loved growing up together. She tells a story of once when some of the girls were riding downtown with Grandpa, and they passed a street sweeper. And as they passed, one of the girls said, "I'm sure glad our dad is the county attorney and not a street sweeper." It's the wrong thing to say. Grandpa hit the skids and pulled over, unloaded the car, and they went back. And they talked to the street sweeper and learned about his family and what he loved and what he cared about. And by the time they got back in the car, they understood that it isn't where you worked, it's how you loved that makes a difference. So this sits in this box for my grandma and grandpa to remind us of some of what was important to them, their love for each other, their love for their togetherness. So we created this box for my mom, but then I thought, hey, what about Dad? What about Dad? We want Dad to be present for every important activity in our lives. So I created an area for my dad that emphasizes especially 2 particular things for Dad. One is his mission to Australia, where he loved and taught and blessed and served for 2 years. And also his time in the Navy, where he served his country. Dad was a devoted, loving man, and I'm grateful to have remembrance of Dad. And then I thought, yeah, and Dad had a family. So I took a picture of the old cabin that the family lived in up Immigration Canyon. Just an old green cabin that wasn't very big, but that was their summer home when it was hot in the city. And so they would gather as a family, and they would just chat and love each other. And Grandpa, after he would work all day, would come home, and they would just sit around with, for instance, some of their good friends from New Zealand who had taught the gospel to. And they sat by the Immigration Canyon Creek, and they chatted and snacked and shared their love for each other and the gospel. So see, there's Mom and her family, and Dad and his family, and Mom and Dad came together in 1947 and created a new family, the Orson and Bernice Goddard family. I'm so grateful for them coming together. So I've got a box about their togetherness, including, for instance, my mom wrote articles for the paper about recipes. Here's one she did on homemade bread that I've reduced to fit into this typewriter. And I've got a sample of the kind of bread she would make. And I've got different things that remind us and family members of those people and what they stood for. Together they raised 7 children, 7 children who love God and strive to serve Him. I'm so grateful for that great heritage. And Mom and Dad, after we were raised, busily went to work serving missions in temples and missions sharing the gospel. They went on one mission after another mission after another. They continued to serve God. And by the time of their 50th wedding anniversary, they had left a great heritage to all of us. So what started out as an effort to remember my mom and bring her present for our family activities ended up being a remembrance of our great heritage. And I'm grateful that Mom and Dad and their families will be here for Thanksgiving and for Christmas this year and every year. I love those good people, and I'm grateful to have them with us.